Benjie Davis. Welcome to our offices. So we're here to talk about London, fashion, shoes. I know you're from Hugs & Co. And where we think things are going to move on in fashion over the next year in London. So just wanted to start with, what are the key shoe trends emerging in London for the up-and-coming London fashion scene at the moment? Where do you see it going?
Well, obviously the area we work very much in is traditional style, and I think that fashion in London, there are always trends, there are always movements, usually multiple, but you'll always see something harking back to a traditional silhouette, a piece that says something about London, and certainly we've continued to work in that. And I think even though you see a lot of active wear, a lot of sportswear, and trainers and things, and comfort being so important, there's always, particularly with London, in every collection, every sort of design or trend or movement, there's something harking back to that traditional sort of style that obviously we specialise in. So I think there'll be a continuation of that, even though things certainly are taking a lot of importance from comfort and that kind of thing.
Actually, it was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you, because we're seeing a huge trend in people wearing trainers more formally and informally.
Yeah.
How do you think that's affecting the kind of the craftsmanship and bespoke shoes in the kind of high end?
I think that when you talk about bespoke, it's almost its own stratosphere. It won't be affected in a way that it's not going to draw on this sort of active wear trend that's going on at the moment. It's not going to change according to that. There is going to be less of an importance and an emphasis on it, and perhaps you might find prices possibly rising in the bespoke area to compensate for less people going for it. But bespoke is not something that moves with trends. It tends to really draw from the traditional.
And with that, we're moving more towards sustainability within fashion. How at Hugs & Co. is your approach with this?
Sustainability is vital. Everybody's moving towards it in some way. With the products we've got in front of us, we're using leathers. We will only use suppliers who reach a very high level of sustainability in their production. We look at the amount of water, the amount of chemicals that are being used in the production of leather, and everything we use is of the highest grade in Europe, which is a highly regulated industry, the leather production industry. The other thing we do is we produce something called the British Driving Loafer, where we use upcycled car tyre for the sole.
Oh, fantastic!
So you'll see one of our sort of classic styles, the studded driving loafer sole, but the entire piece on the base on our sustainable models is made out of an upcycled piece of car tyre.
So that's really going with the whole second use.
It's upcycling. It's also energy saving. It uses a fraction of the energy to mould a new sole to cut a piece from a tyre plate. And it lasts a lot longer.
And how did you find this information out, and how did you go down this direction? Because, we hear of people using, water bottles from the sea and tyres. This is fantastic, because we do drive past garages with piles of old tyres.
Yeah,
I do always wonder what happens to them.
Well,
now I know they go to your shoes.
It's twofold, really. On the one hand, my brother and I have family that grew up in Africa, and there's a famous type of sandal called the 1,000 miler, which is literally a piece of car tyre, with some string attached that you can walk 1,000 miles on. So it's a bit of inspiration from that, and drawing in the car tyres. There's a little bit of a crafty point that obviously it's the driving loafer, so a driving-inspired material is quite appropriate for it. But also, particularly with footwear, some upcycled materials, and you've just mentioned upcycling water bottles into thread and fabrics, they're not the kindest to your feet. And I think that footwear, to be really user-friendly, does need to be more comfortable, and a lot of synthetic fabrics do smell after a while, and nobody wants that. So what we've got is a mixture of of an upcycled material, an important material that needs to be reused instead of disposed of. But we've also got natural leathers, which are more comfortable, nicer to wear, and much more user-friendly. So that's how we've built what we think is a more rounded product.
And at Hugs & Co, we've moved more towards people, a lot more people working from home and ordering online.
Yes.
How has that worked for you at Hugs & Co?
We sell a huge amount online. We base a lot of our business on online sales. So we're very happy with the way things have moved to people being a lot more comfortable buying a few sizes of something, trying it on at home, sending it back. We have an entire system built to cater to that.
I can imagine, I know my son just went back to school, one of the parents was away, so they came back late.
Yes.
And I don't know if this happened to you, they ordered a shoe in every single size.
Of course.
And kept one and sent them back. Are you seeing a lot of that?
Absolutely, that's a trend. People like to try a few different outfits on. Yeah. Another one of the wonderful things about Hugs & Co is we have the most enormous selection of colours in all our styles, and people very often take a few pairs, match it to an outfit. If they're going to a wedding or something special, they really want to match the colour. And that's the way people shop these days.
Just to come off the subject, it's a question that we always like to ask at the end. Where is your favourite restaurant in London?
I think the most incredible dining experience I've had in London recently would be a place called A. Wong's in Pimlico, which was quite expensive, but the most fantastic experience, really incredible food and stuff.
Worth the pounds.
It was, yes.
Worth the pounds. And where's your favourite place to go for a traditional cocktail in London?
Traditional cocktail, probably the bar at the Connaught Hotel is
it's my favourite as well.
Yeah, very comfortable and again, really super drinks.
Brilliant. And social media, what social media platforms do you use? And do you think social media is changing and conceiving the way people wear shoes?
Yes, I mean, we work a lot with Instagram, mostly. TikTok is obviously huge now. It's much more for a younger generation. So we'll probably be moving to that as we move to some slightly different styles of shoes. But for the traditional stuff, we worked really well with Instagram.
And how do you see shoes and Hugs & Co changing, or is this the one style we're going for? Or what is... Okay, so let me rephrase that. Where do you see Hugs & Co and yourself in 5 years if you had a magic wand?
Well, we've got a number of different styles coming up. We are going to be producing... we obviously have a sneaker loafer here, which is a slightly more contemporary take on our traditional styles. We are going to be producing a sneaker later this year, so that'll be quite exciting. And I think Hugs & Co is going to branch gradually from footwear into some other apparel and clothing. So that's going to be the direction in the next few years.
And yeah, as I said, in 5 years, where do you see yourself as well within just branching out and moving to further waters, or maybe even opening a shop?
We're going to continue online.
Yeah.
We are pushing quite a lot in the United States at the moment, so we're trying to expand where we're selling there. We've got Hugs & Co, which is a really super brand. We've also recently launched another brand called Busby Boots, which focuses more on kind of outdoor lifestyle and that kind of thing. So we're working hard on that. So in 5 years, we very much hope to see a lot of growth in Hugs & Co, a lot of growth abroad. And Busby Boots is something we're going to be developing into a really fun outdoors brand.
Now, I've done a little research on you. So Busby Boots, outdoors, polo. Tell me a little bit about polo.
Well, there's a family
polo
tradition.
Polo and driving shoes are quite far apart, I'm thinking.
Well, I think these are very much the style you'll see. You'll see at a polo match. So we do obviously do a bit of marketing sponsorship around the polo scene, which is always very successful for us. Polo's been a family tradition, and everybody's very equestrian in my family, so we're involved in that, and really enjoy the competitive side of it. But yeah, from a style point of view and a business point of view, actually, we do draw inspiration from what we see people wearing at some very fashionable polo events, and Hugs & Co, I'd say, fits extremely well with that. Fantastic.
And are there any trends you see in London? So, for example, shoe trends, how do more people in the West End wear or buy certain shoes to the more edgier side of London of East?
Yes, you are right about that. You certainly get an edgier side. However, the edgy side of East London is harking back to sort of a 90s kind of quite preppy look, and you're seeing a lot of, believe it or not, loafers being worn there, which is quite interesting. Whereas perhaps further back towards the west side, people are still quite interested in active wear and that kind of thing. And that's where you'll see items like this. Sneaker loafer is quite a nice sort of transitional piece where people, who might be very used to wearing trainers, a lot of the time do need to dress up a little bit. So, yeah, that's the difference.
Any hotspots in London that you think anyone at the inn should know about and go to while they're visiting here in London?
Gosh, there's so much always going on in London and new things popping up. I think there was a very nice Argentine restaurant just off Regent Street that opened recently. That's well worth a visit. Name already escapes me, but yeah.
And are there any notable London-based shoe brands leading the change in sustainability other than yours?
The change in sustainability is mainly in more of, again, the active wear, the Vejas and big brands like that who are driving it. I think in our arena, there are less people driving this style of shoe in the way that we are. So I think we're at the forefront of that, and definitely if people are looking for sustainable footwear in this sort of trend and style, they should be coming to Hugs & Co.
How did we come about Hugs & Co? How did it start?
Hugs & Co was created by my brother and I. We very much wanted a product-based business. We saw a gap in the market for there were hyper expensive shoes and incredibly badly made shoes, and we started creating a product there. It's gradually evolved into much more of a luxury brand, but we have held on to a very sensible price tag on our products.
And what advice would you give to any young people out there wanting in the fashion industry or wanting to start a business? What advice would you give to them? Any lessons that you've learned? I
think that have confidence starting a project as soon as you have it. I think a lot of people overthink and worry about the starting point and really just jump in. I would strongly advise to use production in a place where you can get to it. There's a lot of temptation to go further and further afield with your production, but control over that is the most important thing you can have at the very beginning. Your product is absolutely everything. So if you can get to a factory, if you use a small factory that's local to you, that is going to be the easiest way to control.
That also sounds like it comes back to sustainability as well, homegrown, locally.
Absolutely, yeah.
Helping the finances of the community.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have a more rounded product when it's produced locally. You can talk about that. It doesn't have to be local, as in right on your doorstep, but it's about getting the product as perfect as possible first time around. And the further you go for that, the harder it's going to be to control. Anything
you would change if you could talk to your younger self, if you could go back in time when starting Hugs & Co with your brother? Anything that you would change? If you could talk to yourself then.
I think that we started with quite a small range of shoes, and probably I would have thrown a little bit more at the size of the collection. We started with something quite small, and we kind of built it quite gradually. And that's what I mean by have the confidence to just go for it, because as soon as you start expanding, suddenly things start working and clicking, and your customers got more to come back for. So I think the speed of creating more is definitely something I would advise people to be confident to do.
Brilliant, thank you.